Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be finishing up the handrail that we started in last week's video. And we're going to be learning some things along the way, per usual. You'll have to bear with me in this video because I didn't have my mind wrapped around some of these angles and stuff that we'll come up against here. This is very common to get this stuff confused and whatnot. And as I'll share later in the video, my particular situation, I don't do enough of this stuff one thing after another to I haven't been able to fine tune it yet. But hopefully you can still learn from it. I believe you will. And at the end of the video, I'm going to share something that I literally messed up on, but I didn't take the time to fix it because I didn't think it was that big a deal. Because I had already struggled with, kind of this whole ordeal. And I was just feeling pressured more or less by from myself, not from my brother or anything. I just tend to do that sometimes. I was just feeling the pressure to get it done. And so I didn't take the time to fix it. It's not a big deal, but that's at the end of the video. I just want those of you that, are maybe starting a welding business or doing more of this, I want you to go into it feeling confident. And you can take my mistakes and build on those for your welding business. And in case you are doing it, one after another, some of these things will hopefully sink in for you just by watching this video. So hope you enjoyed the video of me and Howard finishing up this handrail. And Rodney will be here to help us too later on because little brother needed help, and I had to call on my brother just because me and him both wanted to try to get this done this particular day or close to it. But anyway, hope you enjoy the video. If you're new around here, don't forget to check out our website arosswelding.com for helpful tools, soapstone you see me use in these videos, or anything else. And also check out our trade school. We've got a couple online courses over there at arosswelding.school. Check those out if you're interested in learning more. We will see you at the end of the video. Thanks for being here. Okay, we need one at 82 and a 16th and one at 82.
All right.
All right, seam on bottom. Seam on bottom. All right, I'm gonna tack it. Okay, get her lined up. I'm gonna tack your side and then I'll tap mine up.
Good.
From that angle, you'd be able to tell if one was way off. So I always like to, last ditch effort, I always like to give it the old eyeball. Yeah, let's take some off of that. That's a little tight. Hung her off the end there. Let me know if you want it turned. Let's pull a measurement real quick. 82 and a 16th. Let's see what our piece is. Take off a hair bit more. Maybe less of a angle on your like right here, Howard. I'm gonna let you do it, but right here you took off about yay much, which was great because it needed a lot, but this time maybe do a little less because does that make sense? Like the more you angle it, the more that bevel goes back and the more we take off. So just do it like a little bit less.
Okay.
Because it only needs about a 16th, but go ahead and do it all. Okay, now that we got our other top rail laid over here, we took a measurement from this corner up to this mark we made right here. So it'll be longest to longest, and we'll end up mitering this whatever angle that we need. And how I got this was I measured from here to the nose of the tread, and I made that same measurement here, and that's how I knew where I wanted my my rail to start going downhill. This is the method, the slang term that I've used is stove piping, like building it on site and stove piping. You just get what you can in place like we got here, and then just measure in between. Slang term, just stove pipe, but just a different method versus building the whole thing. You know, getting measurements beforehand and building the whole thing. and then bringing it in and installing it. All right, Howard, now we can get a measurement for the bottom rails as well. And I'll just have you straight cut them to that longest to longest, and then we'll come hold them up here and then clamp it and or figure out our angle from there, because I'm not sure how I'm gonna figure the angle, but I'm almost certain we can cut it to that longest measurement. So we'll go ahead and take measurements for our bottom, for our mid rail. 108 and 5/8. Show me where you're holding it. 108 and 5/8. 108, 5/8. 109 and a quarter. If you want to just get one of those cut, Howard, I can, we can bring one down here and I can, let's do that. Get the 104 and a half cut. We'll bring it down here, clamp it in place, and I'll get an angle finder and figure out that angle. Okay, so got a rough, we took my angle finder and I did the math, but I always get confused on these. So rather than cutting our piece, I had Howard cut 2 test pieces, and we're holding them up here, and now we're eyeballing it. Howard done eyeballed it. He says it's pretty close. I'm gonna double check, and I'm gonna let you see what we're looking at right now. So we made sure this test piece was parallel with this top rail, and then what I wanna do is make sure our other piece looking down, whenever I get down here, I wanna make sure that it's hitting the top of that post down there, which it is pretty close. It's hard to, through the camera I can't tell, but let me look without the camera and see. Yeah, like you said, it's a little low, ain't it? So that's a problem. So we're a little low. Now granted, if you pick it up a little, like open your gap, yeah, well, right? Come down a little bit. Okay, that's pretty close. So we would have that much of a gap. I say we go with it, Howard. What do you say? I think that little old gap. But we could also, instead of a 15, we could make it a little, less tight of an angle, just a hair on one of them if we needed to. So, all right, I say we go ahead and cut both on that piece. All right, so we've had our first little hiccup, if you will. Howard's cutting another test piece because we put an 8 degree on this and an 8 degree on our top rail, but it still wasn't steep enough. So I kept crunching the numbers, and I was dividing my angle from this upright to the top rail was a 61, and I divided that by 2, which is 30. Then I divided it by 2 again, which, as I'm saying it out loud, I'm learning what I did wrong. I didn't have to divide it in 2 twice. I just needed to do it once. So that's where I messed up. That's where I messed up, Howard. I divided it twice. I had a 61, okay. and I divided that by 2, which was 30. Then No, that's not what I did. I'll get it sorted out and get back to you. Stay tuned. Okay, so I think I've got my mistake slightly figured out. So whenever we had this top rail clamped up here, I put my angle finder here, and this is what I come up with. And this angle finder gives you 4 different degrees. It gives you a 60 degree up here, there's a little red line, 60, and then right behind it gives you 30, then down here gives you 60 and 120. So all that can be really confusing, but what I did, I'm pretty sure I just rolled this. For simplicity's sake, I just looked at this angle finder and I jumped right to 90, and I said, how much from 90 is our angle? 10, 20, 30 degrees. So then, maybe what I said a second ago was right. Maybe I divided it into too many times. So that's 30 difference from 90, and then I divided that by 2, which is 15, and I divided that by 2, which is 7.5, 8 degree. I come up with an 8 degree, which is what this is. That's what we originally cut. So luckily we didn't waste any material, but I just always like to figure out where I messed up so I can fix it on the next one. So I just divided it into too many times, essentially. This right here is the correct one, which is a 29.5 essentially. All right, so now that I've probably confused those of you that may be new, because I done confused myself that day. So moral to the story is cut test pieces at the end of the day until you figure out how not to get confused. One thing that I've noticed by editing this video and, you know, looking at it from a little bit broader perspective is it was set on 120, and literally all I had to do was, you know, look at the 60, you know, which it shows me. It says 120 because we're looking at an obtuse angle, if you will, which means just more than a 90. But it gives me half of it, which is 60, and all I had to do there was divide it by 2, which is where I got my 29 and a half. I literally was doing the minus, you know, from 90. I was doing all that. I guess I could have done that too. I could have just taken how much it was from 90 and went with that number, which is 30. So anyway, I don't feel very, very helpful right now. I don't exactly have my mind wrapped around it, but sometimes these things can be overthought, and this is a very common problem. So one day I'll get it sorted out and I'll be able to teach it like a pro, but today's just not the day. But hopefully from your perspective, you're able to see the simplicity in it. I'm just not there today. So anyway, moving right along. So Howard cut 2 test pieces. We tested it. It looks good, and so we just brought back our piece with a 29 degree down here and a 15 degree up there. We're fixing to tack it in place. And then we should be able to confidently recut this one to a 29 down here. And then this one as well. Mark this at a 29. And then we'll be able to find our angle for our mid rail. And then get them 2 in. And then we'll jump down here and work on this section. Still haven't decided where I'm gonna mount down there. I don't know if I'm gonna mount to the ground or to the wall. That's to be determined, but moving right along, making mistakes and learning as we go here. Oh, you know what? You got it?
What's up?
I said, do you got it?
Yeah, I got it.
I gotta move my ground over here. Bueno, my friend.
You guys aren't gonna paint it?
You don't want me painting it. You don't want me doing it.
You're all over it. That's all I mind.
All right, we're really Cadillacing now. We got some help here. We got our pipeliner clouds, umbrellas up. This right here was all in the sun, but now it's not. Rodney's welding out. Howard is up there cutting this top rail. I'm fixing to take a zip disc and cut our angles on our post here. Not that one, but this lower one. And then I'm also fixing to decide, I think I'm gonna try to mount this to the wall and come out with a little leg and up. That way nothing's on the steps. That's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna get a second opinion from Rodney and Howard, but once I get that post set, I can do the top rail thing over here, then we'll just have 2 mid rails to put in and then just finish welding out. I'm gonna adjust these 2 little pegs because I think they need to turn in a little bit, but
I won't touch those. Then.
all that.
I'll just stop here and then I'll work back.
Okay, we need to trim a little off. How's your angle? Is your gap pretty decent?
It's good.
Okay, yeah, we'll just sand some off here. Coming right along, ladies and gentlemen. Coming in on the tail end of her. Rodney's got her welded out. Howard's sanding down corners. Rodney's undoing this rail so he can swing this out to weld the back sides right here. And I am finishing up this one last bottom rail and then the loops on bottom. All right, it is now a couple days later, and I come back here. We didn't have time to finish the rails, so I'm just finishing up these loops, and I had a little hiccup here. I haven't figured out exactly where I messed up, which bothers me because I usually like to figure that out so I don't do it again. But I did make a drawing on that concrete wall behind that rail, right up against the concrete wall. And I was using a square off the concrete wall to get my measurements, so it could have been that. But anyway, my piece right here is too short. The one going up and down is too short, so I'm fixing to tack me a rail here. I'm gonna tack it there to hold this top rail right where it's at, so I can zip this off, put a new piece in. I got a new piece here. I'm gonna put it right there, and then once I get that in, I'm gonna cut this off and cap the bottom because it needs to be capped. And then I'm also gonna trim a little bit off this top rail, because whenever I laid out my drawing on the wall, I went to what we did was we went from here over 12 inches, and whenever I went to draw the width, the 1.5 inch width of the square tubing, I went on this side of it instead of that side of it. So therefore this is a little bit too long, which was good because this bottom rail that I had in here was too short. So now it won't be, and we won't have to buy any more material. So by shortening that, my bottom rail should work. And yeah, so I'm just cleaning this up, doing the loop here. I'll add a loop here, and then just go through and sand everything down and just do all the little touch-ups to make sure everything's good. And then this rail will be good to go, hopefully. All right, so I got it all sorted out, got my measurements down there, I got my bottom rail tacked up. Now I'm up here, got to cut 3 more pieces for the other side that needs a loop. I've got my notebook here. I mean, one piece 14 long to long, so that just means the longest point versus the shortest point down here. So 14 long to long with 30 degree on each side. And then I made a little drawing so I knew which way to make my cuts. And this one needs 13 long to long with cuts parallel, 19 long to 90 with a 30 degree. So I just got to cut those 3 pieces, and then I'll go back down there, tack them all up, and then weld them out. All right, and there you have it, all finished up. You bet. You betcha. They're ready for a little paint. Last but not least, sweep up this 7018 slag. Definitely should have brought a shop broom and a blower. This is the only broom I had on my truck, but I just Kind of doesn't seem complete with all this dust on here. All right, now that I'm done sweeping, I wanted to point out one mistake out of a few that I made on this project here, and that is up here. You'll notice I come past the post a little ways. You know, I continue this top rail out a little ways. Well, I forgot to do it here. Not a big deal, but that is something that I'll remember for next time. And the reason that we come out, some of you might be asking, is because I actually learned this from my brother and from those of you that have been following for a while. The staircase that I built a couple years ago, all out of metal in Oklahoma City, I messed up and I couldn't figure out, you know, why it was messed up. And several of you pointed out that it's because I didn't pull my measurement from the nose. We call this the nose of the tread. So since I put my post, you know, a couple inches off the nose of my tread, I wanted to make the same distance up here away from, you know, before I started my miter to go downhill. And for some reason, I say for some reason, for me it's because I don't build handrails all the time. So I just forgot to do it. I forgot to put in a little pup here coming out and down. So that's something that, like, a lot of people may not notice, but if you build handrails, if you've built a lot of them, and those of you that are watching, you will notice that now, because that is a very important thing that will hopefully stick with me this time, that I learned from my brother, and like I said, you guys. But actually doing it and a couple of times and having it explained to me the way my brother explained it to me, for some reason it's helping it stick a little better. So hopefully I do a handrail in the near future to where I can start sinking this in a little more, because that's the trouble with me that I've noticed, is I don't do enough of one thing without a fair gap in the middle, a gap of time. So I feel like I'm relearning things over and over again, because by the time I do it again, I'm having to go through that learning curve, I guess. I don't know, maybe I'm just a slow learner, or I don't know. I could go down several roads here, but anyway, hopefully that helps some of you. Feels good to have this project done, and it's time to head on to the house. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your support. And for more helpful resources, check out our website, arosswelding.com. And if you want to learn more, check out our online trade school, arosswelding.school. Thanks for being here. Hope you have an awesome weekend, awesome day, whenever you may be watching this. And remember, learn something every day.